Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, world. It's time for a little Sunday Sanity. This is the restorative part of the webcasting and blogging that I do on Sundays. I've taken breaks off and on, but trying to use these Sunday conclaves to get together with musicians, poets, others doing creative work in a time of great turbulence and confusion and polarization and all the rest. I'm going to try not to talk about all that today and just introduce you to Jim Coffmam if you don't already know him. He's a biologist here in Maine. He's on Mount Desert Island, just 20 minutes from me, but he's coming to me from his living room or wherever. And Jim is a masterful musician in many different ways you'll hear about. And he's also a writer. Along with being running a high-level biomedical research enterprise at MDI Labs on the island. He's just a really interesting guy, and I thought it'd be fun to get him on the show for you to meet him. We're live, so share the link you're watching on with others right now. Just, sort of do whatever you have to do electronically to do that. And I also had to start this morning by paying tribute to a songwriter who's fallen. She perished in a fire in Minneapolis just before heading to Denver to her home turf to give a sort of a homecoming concert that was going to be a big deal. Jill Sabule, she's close friends with some of my good friends like Dar Williams. They used to sing together, and she's best known for tunes in the 90s like I Kissed a Girl that got her a lot of attention. And just weeks ago, she's touring, she's in her 60s, and she wrote a song that I've got to play because she's right in the terrain that I call fast folk. I wrote stories for the New York Times about Jack Hardy, who ran this fast folk enterprise back in the day in the 80s. He was write a song a week at least. And so Jill has written a song that she'll introduce here. This is on YouTube. And I just have to find out where am I here? Here we are. So have a listen. And it does play a little bit on current events. And it's just a shame that she's gone and also that she perished so in such a hard way.
So you guys, I don't know if I should do this, but last night I sang a little bit of a political song, and I like to make fun of both. But a woman last night shoved me when it came out, yeah. And I don't want to get myself into any trouble, but I'll do it. It's so the smallest puppy is a runt. Some people needing heart surgery get a shunt. Sometimes in baseball they bunt. The host of Candy Camera was Alan Funt. I'll tell you something else is true, if you allow me to be real blunt. J.D. Vance is a you might say, tally-ho when you're on a fox hunt. Sometimes in football they punt. The new Mary Poppins was Emily Blunt. Another thing to add to your list, it's a truth that you must confront. A douche as can be the new VP. J.D. Vance is a from top to bottom and back and front. J.D. Vance, what? J.D. Vance, one more time. J.D. Vance is a. You said it, not me, so they'll beat you up.
Hey, Andy, I can't hear you. Can you hear?
I can.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Only no, I only see a little avatar. Can you check your
Well,
camera settings?
I won't be proud.
We need your glowing face and your shiny locks. Let's see. If you could just check, then we'll talk a little bit more and get to you in a second.
All right, fine.
I'm going to put you in the green room for just a second and just see if you get that
very good.
camera turned on. It's always fun to have him here too. So Jim Coffman, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your. Let's start with a song if you have one in mind. Let's start with music because that's what that's mostly about, and then we'll get to the chatter. I think you have a guitar there somewhere.
I do.
I'll show a clip of you with your Mando guitar extravaganza thing in a bit.
Yeah, I thought about playing that, but it's a little more involved, so I'm just going to do the acoustic.
That's fine.
So
what's your musical? Did you start as a kid, etc.?
So I have been involved with music for most of my life, listening from the earliest ages. My mom used to pacify me by putting me on the couch and putting on records of Beethoven and Dvorak and Tchaikovsky. And so I started on trombone in the 4th grade. My dad was a trombone player, and he kind of started teaching me even before I started in school. And then I played in school bands and orchestras all the way through college. Still play trombone a little bit. And then mandolin was my first string instrument, which I got my first mandolin on my 15th birthday. So I've been playing mandolin for 51 years now. And then picked up guitar and fiddle a few years after that.
And often you were off and running.
Yeah. And I've been writing songs for most of my life. After picking up the mandolin, that's something I started doing.
Well, awesome. So let's hear a tune. What's on your mind musically this morning?
Well, it's Sunday morning. So here's one. I haven't done this in a long time. I wrote this one, 21 years ago during the run up to W's re-election. And it's called Lament for the Day. And it seems strangely appropriate for right now too. So it kind of goes like this. Can you hear this all right?
I'm not really picking up the guitar much. Can you get closer to the mic? Oh, that's weird.
How's that?
It's very bizarre. I'm not hearing the guitar. It's like chopping off.
Okay, let me see. I wonder.
Let me check.
If I go into settings in the audio.
Unlike Zoom, there isn't like a musician setting. Let me just check your settings.
I could try. There's an automatically adjust mic volume.
That might be more problematic, but just try it because whatever's.
Well, it's clicked on, so let me click.
Oh, yeah, turn it off. Yeah, turn it off.
And I can turn the mic volume up.
Yeah.
Better?
It's the most strangest thing. I'm not quite sure why I'm not picking up your guitar because it should just be part of the.
Right, because you're hearing my voice, right?
I know. Oh my Lord, this has never happened. There's something. Well, let's hear the tune. I want maybe if you start singing at the same time, we'll see.
Can't hear that strum.
It's the most bizarre thing. I've never had this drop out like that. Oh my Lord. Let's try singing the tune.
All right. It's a time back in the day. Kids tuned in to peace and love. I wonder how we lost our way. Thought we all had enough. Man is bad, his wily way. If war and greed a way to rule, Jesus Christ came back today. Many Christians play the fool. He said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. He smites your face, then the other cheek. And love has brought us round to the land of money rules and preachers pound. The pulpit wins their hateful spew, telling us what's wrong and right, what to think and how to vote. Jesus Christ came back tonight. Many Christians would miss the boat. He said, love your neighbor if you love yourself. He smites your face and turn the other cheek. How much more can we afford before we learn what we once knew? Time when it was true. Fear and love, what to do when the man calls you to war? Ask like greed is not a sin. Jesus Christ, it's knocked at the door. Many Christians to let it in. Say, love your neighbor, love yourself. He smites your face, turn the other cheek.
Hey, it's good. And we did have a problem with that, the guitar cutting out. I don't know what the heck. Somehow it's being damped, and I just don't get
I
that.
wonder if that's the echo control.
Oh, you had that on? Yeah, maybe. Gosh, I just don't know. I've never seen that happen.
Let me just see what happens if go to my audio settings.
While you're doing that, I'm going to play one of your. I'm going to play Allison Young. Oh, see, and there's the echo now. Oh, that's so weird.
I just took the echo cancellation off.
I got to talk to the StreamYard people to see what's going on with music. It seems to be an issue.
I'm not. Are you hearing echo now? When I
No, I don't hear an echo. No.
I took the echo cancellation off.
Strum the guitar. No, it's weird. It's like just totally cutting out. Hold on 1 second, because I am going to play one of you guys' tunes from the your website. I mean, hold on 1 second. Where am I here? Sub screen, present, share screen. Here we go. Let's let people listen to a clear view of you. This is a fun set you guys did. Hold on 1 second.
It's a long set.
We don't have to play the whole thing.
Good evening, folks. We really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. We are a band from Maine. Jim Coffmam, Russell Snyder, I'm Jeff Wallace, and we really love being here. Love you guys for hanging out with us all night long.
How long have you all been together?
Hope you guys had a good time. Hope you had as much fun.
Russell and I have been playing in one form of band from Eden or another since 2007, or 2006.
Okay, here we go.
19 years, and Jeff's been in the band for 8 years, since 2017. And Russell and Jeff have been playing together for 30 some odd years. So
it is a good vibe. Let's just hear for.
I'm not hearing it.
Oh, you are not.
I'm seeing
Let's
it.
go up again. Hold on 1 second. This might be the morning for like sonic chaos.
And I gotta say, the other YouTube video you played kind of cut in and out too a little bit.
What were you going to say?
The previous YouTube video you played was also cutting in and out at my end.
Oh, interesting. Well, having some interesting issues this morning. Maybe I'll quickly play a song just to fill in the gap, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hold on. It might just be one of those mornings.
Yeah.
Technology sucks, basically.
Yeah, it's too bad we're not in the same room.
Can you hear my guitar?
No.
Oh, this is interesting. Maybe StreamYard did something strange, and we're in an alternate.
It's so weird because the vocals are really clear.
Wow.
Try strumming again.
Really? So it's really. Oh, this is so interesting. Hey, everybody who's watching. Oh, someone says it's good over here. I'm looking at the comments. So Nadia, you can hear the guitar. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. I'm going to do Nibbling Ducks, just why not? Because this is one of those Nibbling Ducks we're just listening to right now. It's any technological stuff. I tend to stay calm in a raging storm. I keep my cool when it gets too warm. Yeah, someone says it's perfect here. Okay, we'll keep going. I'll do it again. I tend to stay calm. I tend to stay calm in a raging storm. I keep my cool when it gets too warm. I hold my tongue when others fight. Just one thing keeps me up at night. Those pesky chores piling up make my brain explode. Feels like a flock of hungry ducks nibbling on my toes. Those nibbling ducks, whoa, ducks, bills unpaid, nibbling ducks, bed unmade, nibbling ducks, taxes due, nibbling ducks, make a fool out of you. Kitchen sink goes drip, drip, drip. Favorite sweater's got a brand new rip. Left front tire has a hissy leak. Old back door goes squeak, squeak, squeak. Those pesky chores piling up make my brain explode. Feels like a flock of hungry ducks nibbling on my toes. Those nibbling ducks, bills unpaid, nibbling ducks, bed taxes due, nibbling ducks make a fool out of you. Well, worst of all is late at night, sleeping all serene, when a horde of ducks quack, 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 and poops on my sweet dream. Those nibbling ducks, bills unpaid, nibbling ducks, bed unmade, nibbling ducks, taxes due, nibbling ducks make a fool out of you. Nibbling ducks, quack, 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 nibbling ducks, don't come back, nibbling ducks, making me blue, nibbling ducks, make a fool out of you. So it was heard okay by Nadia, but I'm wondering if we should just try to do this another week. If it's, we can work out your technical details or get you in the studio here to see what's going on. I don't want people to, this to be frustrating for you. I want to hear your music.
Yeah, that's too bad because I could hear you singing, but I could not hear the guitar.
The same weirdness. I'm totally confused. I'll listen to the recording afterwards and see what we can. I'll talk to StreamYard and say what's going on with the music, with the way you stream music. So let's just call it. We'll call it a morning, and we'll try to reconvene one other time.
Sure, sounds good to me.
You take care, and people should read your stuff. Well, before we go, I did want to direct them to your writing. You're on medium.com.
Yes. James A. Coffmam.
Right. And provocations and interesting stuff related to the issues facing us politically as well. That's pretty gutsy to be doing.
Yeah. Well, I won't shut up.
There you go. I have a T-shirt that says that. When I was at ProPublica. Here we go.
Yeah. Supposedly, we still have First Amendment in this country and free speech.
This is claimed, yeah. So this is Jim on Medium. It's medium.com/@JCoffman. I'm going to put that link in the chat for anyone who's watching. And there are people watching. So here, hold on one second. And tell us about the book that you wrote. Same kind of thing, You got interesting terrain with that book.
So the book, which was published in 2012, I wrote it with a colleague who's no longer with us, another biologist, a theoretical biologist named Don Michalecki, who was at Virginia Commonwealth University. And I had never met him, but I struck up an online correspondence with him by email because I read some of his papers, which I really liked. And we started going back and forth with some ideas, and in one of our emails, he said, "Well, that sounds like an abstract of a book." And I said, "Oh, okay." And we went back and forth. He said, "Are you game?" And I said, "Well, yeah, let's write a book." So we wrote a book without having ever met one another. I did most of the writing, but I'd send him chapters, and he'd give his input, and we'd rewrite them, and so forth. And basically, it's the thesis of the book, and I think it might be a bit of an oversimplification now. It's been with the benefit of time between now and since we wrote it, but it's a bit of a critique of science, but it's a critique of reductionist science, which is a kind of science of kind of reducing everything to mechanisms that you can understand and then manipulate, and without kind of looking at the bigger context of how things are working, and also the historical context and the systems in which things are part, and how those systems develop, and how that development constrains their what they can do. Yeah. And it looks at civilization as a system, as a complex system, and how our civilizations, development of our civilization's been entrained by this kind of reductionist model, where and part of that is like everything is short-term gain by looking at mechanisms and how can we manipulate these things to get short-term gain without looking at the big picture. that's kind of the thesis, and we get it's basically an extended essay.
Mm.
And I naively thought that I was writing it for a wide audience, but it's really kind of technical. And so I would love to rewrite it. Part of my medium motivation for my medium writing is to try and get better at writing for more accessible for a wider audience. I'm a scientist by profession, so I've done a lot of writing, but it's very technical writing and for scientific articles. So I'm trying to exercise my writing for a wider audience, which is something you've done for a very long time, Andy. So
Yeah, I'm showing one of your recent posts. This is something I've thought about a lot. Why, why is it so quiet out there? And uh, could you just summarize what you came up with here?
well, yeah, and this is not my idea. So the Fermi paradox is Enrico Fermi back in the '60s, I believe. Asked the question, if the universe is so big and it's probably full of life, probably even in our galaxy there are other civilizations. So yes, but where is everybody? We haven't heard from them, and so that's the paradox. If the universe is so immense that it's probably full of life, even advanced life, why haven't we heard from them? And there's been a number of explanations. You can imagine maybe it's not as full of life as you would think, even though the universe is so immense. Life, abiogenesis, which is the evolution of life from non-living chemistry, may be extremely hard. But now science has gotten to the point where we don't think that's the case. Abiogenesis on a planet that has the right conditions is probably more likely than not. And so one of the ideas that's been advanced, which seems more and more likely to me every day, is that when you get to an advanced technical civilization like we have, technological civilization, um, the you get a disconnect between the technology and the ability to control the technology and the culture itself, because technology is evolving at an exponential rate, whereas culture and psychology and everything that's needed to deal with that is not. It's you have biological evolution, which is a much slower rate, and cultural evolution, which is still also a much slower rate than technological evolution. And
Right.
because of that, when you get to that point, basically the civilization self-destructs, and we're seeing that. And the biggest, really, and the reason I have that picture there at the front of the article, the biggest threat we have is nuclear annihilation, which is still a very real threat. And if you think about it, the only thing that's keeping nukes in check is civilization. So if
Right.
you have civilization collapsing, then you have that's a big threat. So the idea is that we haven't heard from everybody because any civilization that gets to the point we have is almost destined to self-destruct. It's like threading a needle, and so but I talk about the other hard steps that are possibly impeding development of life to a civilization like ours.
Yeah,
Um,
you're reminding me a lot of a conversation I had last year, maybe it was over a year ago, with Tim Waring, who's at the University of Maine, just up there, and he did a paper.
I read that paper.
Yeah, I had him on the show. I should get you both on the show together to talk more deeply about this because it was, his points are about cultural evolution and which sends us toward the wrong priorities and has these issues that you described as well. Be good to.
Right. I think I linked to his paper in my article that you just showed.
Yeah,
The
he's really
paradox.
interesting. And when I was at the Vatican 10, 11 years ago, um, I was there for a meeting on sustainable humanity, sustainable nature, our responsibility. And there was one of the Pope's posse, um, a Cardinal Maradiaga from, I always forget if he's from El Salvador or he was from Central America. He introduced the session by saying nowadays humanity is a technical giant and an ethical child at the
Exactly.
same time. We don't have there's no way our ethical frameworks can keep up with the challenge, and when you add the fast pace of technological change,
Right.
it's always going to be way ahead of our ability to understand, not just understand the implications, but to have a moral kind of filter on how we
Right.
play with these technologies.
Yeah, now we have AI, which is really taking off, and who knows where that's going to take us.
Well, right, and some say, well, AI can do some of that advanced risk analysis, but AI is part of the risk.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the human experience itself. We're trying to get ahead of ourselves when that's essentially impossible. Um, so it's good that you're doing that kind of work, and maybe you can sort of do an updated version of the book. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's the plan. If I ever can find the time, and
Yeah, along with like the work, the work you do in
yeah.
biology. You
Right.
want to just briefly explain what you do, also?
So I'm a developmental biologist. I work at the MDI Biological Laboratory out in Bar Harbor, actually in Salisbury Cove, up at the northern part of Mount Desert Island. And I run a research lab. We use zebrafish. They're just kind of a model organism. They're in some ways like the laboratory mice of the fish world because you can do genetics and other things with them. But we're trying to understand how early life stress has a lasting impact on how that kind of programs physiology to increase disease risk later in life and also even intergenerationally. Um, we know from epidemiology that if you're stressed early in life, or even if your mother is chronically stressed when she's pregnant, that can affect how you develop, and that has a lasting effect on your physiology. And so we're trying to identify the genes that are involved and how they work to um, mediate that programming. And we've made some progress on that using the zebrafish. Also, early life exposures. I have a NIH grant right now to look at the exposure, chronic early life exposure to arsenic, very low level arsenic, like is very common in well water here in Maine.
Yeah,
Um,
and in
uh,
Bangladesh, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
And we're exposing zebrafish just as embryos and during their larval development to 10 parts per billion arsenic, which is the EPA mandated safe limit. So if you have less than 10 parts per billion, 9.9 parts per billion, you're considered safe. Well, we're finding that has very um, has effects on gene expression, has effects on susceptibility to viral infection, has effects on behavior that last into adulthood, even just the early life exposure, and even effects on gene expression into the next two generations
Well,
without
that's the part
further
that's really
exposure.
interesting.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes this area of science so profoundly important and just and unnerving.
yeah.
It's kind of upsetting some norms that we thought were fairly established.
Yeah, well, that's what science is supposed to do, and so it's and the other thing that I do at the lab is I run a large program grant, NIH program grant that supports 17 institutions in the state, mostly colleges, um, University of Maine system campuses, Colby Bates, Bowdoin. This is the Maine Biomedical Research Network. So it's an NIH program, and the whole idea with the program is to increase the capacity of the state for cutting edge biomedical research. And the way we do that, one of the ways we do that is providing research experience for undergraduate students at all these colleges with
Yeah.
faculty who are doing the cutting edge research, including at where I work at MDI Biological Laboratory.
Yeah, and I could easily see you're old enough to remember Proxmire, Senator Proxmire, and his golden what was it, golden toilet seat or something. He had some kind of award he gave to wasteful research, um, and you think, oh, zebrafish, what a waste of time. And what you're
Well,
illustrating is it's not. And so we have an administration right now that's just going hog wild on
it's
canceling things
terrible.
that seem
It's
silly. And boy, oh boy.
it's terrible what they're doing. In fact, our president at MDI Biological Laboratory just testified in D.C. in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee chaired by Susan Collins here from
Oh,
Maine.
right.
And it was a session, a hearing about the state of biomedical science and the future of biomedical science. And he gave a great testimony, answered questions. The other people on the panel that were there were the CEO of the American Association for Advancement of Science, a head of a cancer research center in Alabama, a mother with her daughter who was a cancer victim who was saved by clinical trials.
Mm.
The encouraging thing was most of the senators on both sides of the aisle were very supportive of biomedical research. Susan Collins is very supportive of biomedical research and the programs we have in Maine. The problem is with these cuts that they're proposing, that I mean, this new budget proposed by the president is proposing a 40% cut at NIH and a 50% cut at NSF. That's going to decimate science in the United States. Science is not going to stop happening. The people who are going to be leading in science are going to be other countries like China, which is already taking off, and Europe, and basically the United States, which has led the world in science since World War II, or even before, is going to be left in the dust with these
Right.
cuts.
No,
And it's horrible.
yeah, and it's in every field. On Monday, I'm doing a show on the National Weather Service and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration cuts. And, we're coming into hurricane season, and we have already the tornado season in the Midwest. And National Weather Service already had pretty degraded capacities. The translation of forecasts into warnings has been backsliding. That was even before what's going on now. And so what you need is more investment and sure, reform, but decimation, just the wrecking ball approach is just, I was saying, Trump is basically setting himself up for what happened with George W. Bush when he had his, hey, Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job moment after Katrina, when FEMA was mishandling a catastrophe. And and that will cause manifest harm to many people. And maybe it'll finally wake this country up in terms of what extremist Republicans who support Trump's agenda are doing.
Well, the latest thing was Arkansas with the tornado destruction in Arkansas just happened, and the Trump refused to send FEMA in, even though his former press secretary is the governor of that state, and
right.
So we'll see.
We'll see. There are these feedback mechanisms. Theoretically, they're supposed to, cause political change when someone gets out of hand. But Trump has pushed so many the dimensions of the flexibility within our democracy. He's just testing all these limits, like a toddler, in a china shop, and we will see how this all plays out, I guess, one way or the other. And hopefully people are getting engaged and try to make a difference, and also make sure your community is resilient in the face of these risks. Well, Jim Coffman, we had some technical issues, but it was great to explore your writing and your thinking and your research. And that chunk of our conversation, I'll make sure is highlighted on the internets going forward. And sorry about the music being kind of.
That's all right. Thanks, Andy. It's great talking with you, and hopefully next time we'll be in person.
Yeah, there's a lot of music to make around here. Yeah. You guys are playing all around, I assume.
Yeah, the band from Eden's got a busy summer coming up. Our next show is May 17th at the Toddy Pond Farm up in Monroe,
I saw that. Right.
Which is north of the river, up north of Stockton Springs there. Toddy Pond Farm, you can look it up. They're a farm to table restaurant, and then they have a music venue in the barn, and in the summer it goes outside, so we'll see how the weather is. And we'll be playing there. And you can follow us on Facebook, and we have a website that has a calendar with all our shows. And
A lot of fun. And you know, I only realized recently that Russ Snyder, the drummer, plays harmonica and some tunes. Have you ever met another harmonica playing drummer?
No, I haven't met one, but one of the songs we do is "That's What I Like About You" by the Romantics.
Uh-huh.
And I never realized until I watched them on YouTube do that song. Their drummer, that the harmonica part, which Russell does, that was played by the drummer in that band.
That's so
So that,
interesting.
yeah,
Well, that's very cool. Well, I'll be seeing you guys, I'm sure, again down the line, and we'll just go out with a little bit more from one of your shows.
Take a little breather. Get some beverages. Check the card. That makes me leave. Despite that fact, I go on breathing.
So this is Sustain What, the kind of an abbreviated and kind of screwy, technologically screwy Sunday morning. Wherever you are, you can share the parts of this that are cogent and get in touch about future shows. And there'll be more music and more content here coming up, especially tomorrow with the National Business issues. Join me at noontime. That's a wrap of Sunday Sanity, and I'm going to stay sane. I'm going to end the show now. Thanks, Jim.
thanks, Andy. We'll be in touch.
You take care.
Too. Bye.
And